to the Dash community call, 73rd meeting here. So wanted to share with everyone a couple of pictures if you have a second. We went to the SmartNIC Summit last week, and so I don't know if you can see my screen. I wanted to show a couple of pictures of a couple of us there. Me, Reshma, Hanif, Andy, Michael Zygmunt. So this is kind of what it looked like there while we were delivering the sessions and listening to everyone else and watching the keynotes. Cool. So Mersha was there. Mersha delivered an excellent presentation. AMD was there. Sanjay, everyone. NVIDIA, was awesome. So any questions about the summit?
Missed you, Chris.
Yes. Yeah, so did anyone have any questions about what happened or anything during the summit? So it was a beautiful day there, a beautiful 3 days. So so anyway, a couple of thoughts. There were a few sessions recorded. Gerald had one where he had given a presentation at a cloud launch, and the sessions weren't recorded there at the summit, but there were a couple of different ones that were. And so I was thinking inside of the Dash YouTube channel, I am probably going to create another playlist. So you guys know we have the different playlists. I have to navigate. We have high availability, we have behavioral model, and then the regular Wednesday community call. And I think I'll make one just for conferences. And when we have recordings at conferences where our topic is discussed, maybe I'll pop them in there so that people can see those. So just an FYI, if that's okay with everybody.
That would be so great, actually. Yeah, I did.
You think?
Yeah, I didn't know there was recording, so this will help a lot.
I know Gerald had one from his Tuesday session. And Chris, did you say there was another one?
Yeah, I pre-recorded mine because I'd live streamed remote, but I pre-recorded it as a backup, and it's almost identical to the talk I gave. We could upload that. It's good background on the behavioral model, etc.
Yeah. So these are the playlists. We have community call, high availability, and behavioral model. And so I could just add one more just for conferences. I can take an action item to do that in the next day here, so and upload a couple. I'll put those in the meeting notes that go out. I don't know if we have anyone new on the call, but you've all seen the meeting notes that go out, yeah? So if you have questions, just go ahead, honey.
A quick thing, if for those who don't have the recordings, or even if you do, it would be great if we can upload those slides somewhere, whether GitHub or
they are. What is her name? Elizabeth gave us a location. Let me find it real quick. She sent it to me because she actually needs my slides. The thing is, you guys have seen my slides a million times, so I don't think it'll be that exciting. But let me find it here. So can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want me to pop this into, these are all the different slides. I wonder if she would open that up to all the people, or?
They might already have a process for like publishing them, usually after each conference, someone curates and uploads them to some site, but I don't know if they're planned.
So this is the site. Yeah, this is the site that she had sent the invite for.
Yeah, but that's probably, the access is probably controlled. I don't think.
Right. So do we just have ask her to share the access, I wonder, or what do you think? Or we download all the slides?
I would ask her if they plan to make them generally public, because I'm sure she shared them with people selectively.
Yeah, so let me get her email address for you. Do you know her email address, Hanif?
Elizabeth Leventhal. So,
Hanif, do you know her email?
Yes, I do know her email.
I have Lance's email if you like.
I'll put it in the chat window. She's
Elizabeth at SmartNIC Summit.
.leventhal at Gmail or SmartNIC Summit.com. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so this is what I have. Honey, were you suggesting I download all of these and put these into a location as well? I could think about that.
Yeah, let's talk. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, I
Sure.
mean, yeah,
Let me make a note to myself so I don't forget. Okay.
sure. Thanks.
Okay, so I'm going to turn off my camera. So moving on to content, I guess in the last couple of meetings, we covered a lot of these PRs. I'm not going to go over every single one, but we had the ones where Chris led the meeting on May 21st or 31st, and then the June 7th meeting here. And so a question came up yesterday, and I wanted to bring it up, and I think Prince knows a little bit about it, but it was regarding the header files and the syncing of the header files that are in the OCP repo and the dash repo. And maybe Prince, or was it Vijay, could you reiterate the question again? I know we've gone over it before, but so everyone could hear. Do you remember,
Hi,
Prince?
Kristina. Yeah.
Or Vijay, yeah.
Yeah, I can just state the question. So basically, there is the SAI header files in the OCP repo, and there are SAI header files in the dash repo, which are auto-generated from the BMv2. And I think the recommendation is to build the vendor libSAI with the OCP SAI header files. But what we are observing is when we try to run the SAI thrift tests in the dash repo with the libSAI, with our libSAI, which is linked with OCP SAI, there is a mismatch in the meta. Because I think the OCP SAI lags behind the dash repo SAI version. I think basic question is what's the best practice for linking? Which SAI should we link to when we build our vendor libSAI? And also, I think this is going to be an ongoing problem, right? If OCP SAI and the dash SAI are not in sync. So should we be more proactive about pushing the OCP SAI headers and keeping it in sync with the dash version?
Right.
Yeah, the OCP headers are the ones for vendor libraries.
Okay. So Vijay, I'm wondering if you are talking about the PTF tests themselves. They're not pointing to the OCP SAI at the moment. Is that the question?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah, sorry about that.
yeah, I think the SAI submodule in our dash repo is pointing to. I think it's pointing to your fork, right, Reshma? That's what
Right.
I saw. Yeah. So in that there is yeah, that seems to be behind the or rather that is ahead of the OCP SAI, because when we do a compilation in the dash repo, the SAI header files is what gets generated from the BMv2, right?
You're right. Yeah, I think that will work on this and get you an answer offline, basically for everyone, before the next call.
So I'm curious.
There is, yeah, yes.
Sorry, I'm curious. I mean, from Vincent on next side, from a vendor standpoint, I always integrated with the dash repo, period. So that builds against whatever we define because we have new features and whatnot. So I'm curious how we can even use something else at this point, because we on that reshma-intel branch, right?
Yeah, we already had made some changes a long time ago to get the VXLan fix in the P4-Lang, and that's added into SAI. In between all our PTF changes into OCP SAI and our final VXLan fix, there was another fix that went in, which actually broke all of the dash PTF. So we need to fix that, and it's a very large change, it seems. So trying to work with Prince, is it okay if I include Richard into this discussion? Maybe I'll call for a meeting with you and Richard, and maybe we can just revert that fix for the moment.
Richard from Microsoft, or?
Yeah. The change actually is from Intel, different group, but Richard merged it. I'm wondering if we can revert that. Then
I
we can,
think you may
yeah.
want to send an email to me separately because I
Okay.
don't think Richard is working on this anymore. So.
Oh, okay, understood. Sure. Yeah, we'll do that. I understand this issue. We need to fix that ASAP.
Is it closed too, Reshma?
Sorry, Kristina. Yeah.
Was it a long time ago?
Yeah, it's been a couple of months at least.
Oh, okay.
April,
All right.
May.
Okay, all right. I can take a peek for it later.
So maybe I missed this. So what's the plan here for making sure the OCP headers are in line with the dash headers?
We need to point the OCP SAI as a submodule for PTF tests instead of my fork that we used at the beginning for development.
Mm-hmm.
We just need to point it to the top of the tree from OCP SAI that includes the P4-LAN, the VXLan fix that we needed for dash PTF overlay test cases.
Okay,
And,
so
yeah.
I'm not sure, like, is that sufficient, Vijay, or
I think that doesn't get, it still doesn't synchronize SAI OCP, SAI headers, the official ones,
yeah,
the dash. It's two steps, right? One is pointing to the official repo in dash, and the other is having the official repo catch up to dash.
right.
Yeah. I mean, we will only point it to the OCP SAI when it has caught up to dash, in the sense to whatever state that the point where the VXLan fix went and dash PTF is usable with all the overlay test cases, etc. that's been added, that it will be usable by everyone by using the OCP SAI.
Didn't we have a branch under OCP SAI called dash that could be treated as kind of the development headers? It's not quite the same as the final SAI repo, main, but it's like staged.
But how would that help? If you want the latest headers, you can just generate them. But the question really is what headers go and what library goes into the SONiC image. So if the whole SONiC image is built from the OCP master or some OCP release, vendor is supposed to align to that. Even today, without dash, we have the same kind of the similar thing. There is master SAI, and then there is a SAI release, and SONiC is sitting on a SAI release. No one's asking vendor to put a library for a for the latest master.
I see. So master needs to be caught up to dash, and then eventually it'll be
and eventually it
as a
will go into a release. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I think if we can get the approval on the SAI headers generated in the dash branch, I think we can have that as a separate PR to our OCP SAI master, and then based on my discussion with Rita, if it is dash approved, then we can go ahead and merge to master there to the OCP SAI. Unless we change some other common files. But if it is specifically for dash, I think the dash community approval is sufficient.
But we have to fix this breaking change per reshma, right? That's been there for 2 months.
Yeah.
Should I create an issue for that, guys?
It's not a dash issue as much as a SAI issue, isn't it? You have to it's like an urgency level. Is there a bug open in SAI? An issue for this, or is it just tribal knowledge? Reshma, do you know if there's an open issue in SAI? Can we escalate it?
There is a PR. There is not an issue, but there is a PR, which we can. I'll send out an email with everyone in the email.
Wasn't it like 17 something, 1755 or something like that?
Exactly.
Because we've had it in our meeting notes or something like that.
It begs the question, if we really had every regression tests in SAI repo, we would catch breaking changes before PR got accepted.
Yeah.
Is that something we should put on our list to do? Somehow get regression tests in the SAI repo?
Right. I have informed that to Rita also earlier. Let me use that email that I sent and.
Was it this one, guys?
1573, I believe. 1573.
1573.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. 1573 was where we merged.
Okay.
You're right. The changes made by 1755 caused the issue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right.
Sometimes I remember things. So, okay. So you guys go ahead and keep talking while I'm writing this down. And it was okay. So change size of module. So 1755. So there is a PR or whatever, Chris. So is the AI for us to follow up on it? God, I hate sounding like a PM.
The AI.
Yeah, is the action item for us to follow up on this or put an issue in our tracking?
Is that really an issue for
To anybody?
I don't know if that's
well,
right.
it's is it blocking us?
Yeah.
Prince, is this something we need to follow up on? 1573 or 1755?
Yeah, I think yeah, I'm not fully aware of this, so I'll have to take a look at it offline.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll close on this as soon as possible.
Okay. So we'll have an email go around, Reshma?
Yes, we'll send out the
Okay.
email.
Okay. So Vijay, this was a long way of trying to figure out, did we answer your question?
Hey, yeah, I think as long as the OCP SAI and the dash SAI are in sync or pretty close together, I think we should be fine. Because, yeah, I think we found this issue when we were trying to run our libsci on our DUT with the SAI thrift test. And because of the meta mismatches, the tests were failing.
Okay,
Yeah.
and so the workaround in the meantime was to do what?
So right now, yeah, we had to like recompile our libsci with the dash repo version of the SAI, and then get the then run it for the SAI thrift test. But again, we have when we are trying to run with the full SONiC there, because everybody, all the other components are using OCP SAI, like SAI-RID is. We
Yeah.
have to end up using the OCP SAI version, so we are having to like maintain two versions.
Yeah. Which goes to Marian's point. You really want to use one master branch or release branch
Right.
for everything.
So having the SAI from reshma-intel to master is only the first step. After that, I suppose SONiC has SAI ready. SONiC has to update it as well, right? To get everybody in the same train. Is that the idea? Is that the problem?
Yeah, I think today the SONiC build image is pointing to the TOT OCP SAI, so I guess it just pulls whatever is in the master OCP SAI version. Yeah, as long as the dash headers are come into the OCP SAI repo, and the dash version and the OCP SAI versions are in sync, except for like probably local changes which somebody might be doing, then I think we should be good.
Yeah, I guess I develop mostly standalone with the dash repo and not within SONiC, so it's not a problem for me, but I see what you mean. Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, I think just a follow-up question is we noticed that the SAI Meta. So in the SAI repo, there is the SAI Meta, which is kind of a generated file. Basically, there is SAI metadata and SAI metadata utils under SAI Meta directory. So these are being included currently in the BMv2 libsci. And is that something that is supposed to be included in the vendor libsci? Because it doesn't seem like only when we run the libsci with the SciThrift server, it requires the SAI meta. Otherwise, it doesn't. When we run it with syncd, it doesn't seem to require those functions which are defined in the SAI meta. So we're just wondering what's the common practice for this?
Prince or Brian
I might ask,
or Ref?
Marian might be able to give an insight. I know we need SAI Meta for the SciThrift generation because that's part of the build process, but is it actually used in production libsci? Does it have any value there? Is it more?
Yeah, it is used.
Okay.
Sorry, Marian, you said it is used. It's required to
Yeah.
be compiled. I see. Okay.
I just clarification that we need is it built in as part of the SciThrift itself, or should it be built into the vendor libsci?
SAI Meta isn't part of SciThrift, and it is not part of vendor side. It's used by SAI Redis, the org agent side of the SAI Redis RPC.
Oh,
So
okay.
we don't need. But I think what Vijay is saying is that when we try to run SciThrift without the SAI Meta functions included in our libsci, there was an undefined symbol error.
Okay, I'm not familiar with the SciThrift workflow. Sorry.
Yeah, I think so. Probably, Chris, if you try to today, BMv2 libsci is getting compiled in with the SAI meta from the dash repo, and
Yes.
SciThrift server is happy because that is already included. But if you try to run the same SciThrift server with a vendor libsci, then it complains that the meta symbol cannot be found. But yeah, so according to what Marian is saying, if SAI meta is really not required for the vendor libsci, I think we should just compile in the SAI meta into the SciThrift, into some library which goes into SciThrift server rather than the BMv2 libsci.
Yeah, I don't know the right answer to that because the SciThrift server build process, one thing, someone else, came up with all of that and just kind of canned out of the SCI repo. And as far as the BMv2 libsci, how SCI Meta got into that, I don't really have a good answer for that. It's been so long since I looked at it, and I actually built upon Marian's original work, just some refactoring in the build process. So I really can't answer right now how that all comes together. But I think there would probably be some missing symbols if you didn't compile it into the BMv2 libsci, possibly.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, if someone wants to take a look at that and try to figure out how to separate them out, I don't have a recollection anymore. It's been like a year and a half since I even looked at that stuff.
Okay.
So if someone has an incentive to get the SAI Meta out of the libsci, you know, I'd be happy to interact with them and try to, you know, delve into that.
You guys want me to file an issue?
Sorry. So the problem is that SAI Meta is part of the auto-generated libsci.
Right.
Oh, okay. I don't recall that either. Yeah, probably you need an issue for that. I can take a look.
You want me to create an issue, Marian?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and assign it to me.
Okay. Hope I captured it correctly. Okay. Thanks, guys.
Oh. Yeah, let's see. I guess the desire would be, can SAI Thrift be built such that it gets SAI Meta built into SAI Thrift without it having to be into libsci or BMv2?
Well, I'm going to tag you on the issue then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can add some details about where it's the make file where it's picking up the meta in BMv2 libsci. I'll add some details into the issue.
Yeah, I mean, I remember having to create the build step, make SAI Meta to get it to bind, you know, for everything to link. But I was sort of dabbling at that stage with Marian's original work, just sort of, let's say, refactoring it a little bit and trying to get the SAI Thrift server compiled for the first time. And whatever solution I came up with finally worked, but maybe there's another step that can improve things. Now that we're at this stage where there's actual vendor libsize for Dash. Made a lot of progress in the last year.
So do you think we've talked this one to death for a while?
I think so.
I'll do this. I'll do the issue creation, etc., and try and capture the notes. I wanted to. Does anyone else have something they want to bring up before we go forward?
I had questions on meters, but
okay. I just want to add one quick thing. You know, we've been tracking all these items just basically from my memory and when we have conversations, and so I link them and things like that. And so last time we got together, I decided to go ahead and just start creating issues for the things we talk about here, and then I'll put the updates into the issues. And so just letting you guys know, I've started doing it this way, so hopefully I can keep track a little bit better, and maybe I can just do a copy paste. So the things we talk about in this format, I'm actually throwing it into the GitHub project format, if that's okay with you guys. And go ahead, Vincent.
All right, so I pull a diff from the meter PR to basically do the integration, you know, the SAI and integration with our data plane. And I just had a couple of questions on some scale on the meter policy tables. Is also the meter policy, is it like an ACL group? When you apply it to an ENI, you basically are not allowed to change it. It's frozen. That's a question. There are different aspects like that, so I don't know who can answer those questions.
So we talked about metering, meter policy, adding meter policy, that kind of thing in 365, didn't we, Prince and Vijay?
Yes, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think it's just defining the tables and the roles. I guess Vincent's question is in terms of just the CRUD operations. We have the same kind of restrictions that we have for ACL groups. Yeah, that's a good question, Vincent. I think probably Prince, we need to discuss it.
Because it is documented for ACL groups, but it's not for this. But to me, it's similar. Especially there's a churn also on the policy table because of prefix lengths, right? If you put one at a higher priority with a low, very small prefix length, you basically hide. It kind of hides potentially some subsequent rules at low priority. So there's some churn there as well, right?
Yeah, I think okay, this can be added to the document.
Didn't I create this add me? Is this the same as this then? Add meter policy scale into documentation.
Scale is only one part of that stuff.
Okay. So what else do we need then?
So I guess I got a generic question, I suppose. I have a couple of questions here on meters. So do I bring them in the meeting, or is there a way to post them and then get offline answers on those? You know, I don't really know how to deal with that.
I think if we can raise issues, then we have a way to track, and we can come back and discuss it in the meeting. Because at this time, probably some of the things may need to be checked internally, right? So.
Yeah, and those are very, I suppose, fine details. I suppose, like for instance, if you have the meter class on the outbound route and the mapping, well, there's no way to disable those because the meter class is just a 16-bit value. So how does that work with? If you encounter that route for an ENI, well, the ENI better have that bucket ready. You know, that sort of things.
I think that maybe Vijay, you can answer, right?
Yeah, so I'm just trying to understand the question. So are you saying that you have the meter class ID coming to the meter class table, and are you saying the bucket ID is not yet provisioned? I didn't get the question.
No, so forget the. I didn't really ask the question. The question is this: the route and the mapping have a meter, and eventually you also have the ENI router policy meter policy result potentially. That's just optional. But if you don't have that one anyway, and if you don't have the mapping overriding the route meter class, the meter class on the route, you get it no matter what. There's no way to, you get a 16-bit value. There's no disable the meter. So you're gonna end up basically trying to find that meter class to find the bucket on the ENI for that meter class.
Right.
To me, that suggests basically that that meter class applies. I mean that the bucket has been created to guarantee that the meter class can be updated. That the meter class bucket can be updated.
Yeah, I think if there is no meter class provisioned, I think bucket ID value of the class ID value of 0 is considered invalid.
Yeah, that needs to be documented. I'm sorry. There's no. It's not an object, right? I mean, rules, policy are objects. Meter class is just a 16-bit value, which is unfortunate because there's no way to know I don't have a meter. So then, because you have the meter, you want to make sure the data plane is ready to ink to find a bucket, or you know, that sort of things, right? There's no great answer for that, but you know, we need to know.
Yeah, I think there is a logic in BMv2 where we pick the meter class, where we do the 0 check, assuming it is that 0 value is an invalid value, and everything other than non-zero values are valid values. So in this particular scenario, yeah, you would be setting the meter class on the routing, outbound routing to 0. But you are right. We probably have to explicitly document this somewhere, right? That's what you're saying.
Okay, I'll check it and then.
Vincent, what's your GitHub ID?
Vincent XS, I think.
I don't have it.
Yeah, 1 sec.
Send it to me offline or send it in the chat and I'll toss it. So I created this so you guys can work on it if that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, and I guess the last question was like if we do a direct mapping, like there's no mapping data itself. So in that case, we just assume we just have the potential ENI and the route only.
Yes. Yeah.
For the direct, yes.
Yeah.
There's no mapping.
It's obvious, but I want to make sure. And also the mapping had a counter ID. I think that's obsolete now.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think there is a per mapping counter ID. This is the meter class is what the mapping is deriving. So, but that might be something that was not added as part of the metering PR.
No, it was it's stuff that has been here for a year. I mean, for quite some time. So
Right. Yeah.
I wonder if we need to clean it up or not.
Yeah, I think yeah, that is basically a per mapping counter. I don't know if we need it because at that scale, I'm not sure if we can actually provide that counter on a per
And
mapping.
right. So the general question is, as far as counters now, is the metering that you define in the PR, that's it. That's what we have. And there's no, like, if you, the logic with the ENI raw table and the routing meter class and the mapping meter class, those are those the only one defining meters, like counters basically, or are we also supposed to increment pair route counters, pair mapping counters, pair whatever?
Yeah, I think there are static counters which are also defined, but this metering doesn't address the counters requirement. So I think that is a separate topic by itself.
But
So
do we
this is,
have those requirements?
I believe there was one list of counters, static counters somewhere.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I think the counters, there's a separate document, and metering is separate. So metering is used for billing purposes, um and that's different from the regular counters. I think, Krishna, I remember there is some other document on counters. We don't have it in
Yep.
this document.
Right. It
Yeah.
is in
Yeah, I
one
guess
of
I
these two
forgot. I should
places.
have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one of these two places. It's either in this one or this one. I'm going to pick this one and see what happens. Counters. I don't think it's in this one. It must be in the other one. Yeah. Let me go back one. It might be in the packet transforms document. At counters. And it's not awesome, but this is where we started. I'll put it in the chat window. Was this it, Prince?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think this is what.
Mhm.
So for the ENI, you could, okay. So that's on top of the metering. Oh, okay. Sorry, that's parallel to the metering, I would say.
I think I wrote this a long time ago. So we still had open questions and stuff because we're still in development. Right.
Okay,
Don't forget to
so
get. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, so that list should still be relevant then, or does it need to be revisited?
I think because we're under development, everything's being revisited. I don't think we're at any kind of definition of done. I think it does need work. Am I correct in that, Prince?
Yeah, that's right. I think.
Yeah. This is what we know today. And so, yeah, you probably need to revisit, or if you have any suggestions on how this could be better, do a PR or an issue or something.
Okay.
We
No,
can
that's fine.
try.
I just need to go through that because I didn't. I
Sure.
went through the HLD and the other one, but I forgot
Oh,
to
sure.
go back to that one. So
No, it's okay. It's okay. Cool. Anyone else have anything?
thanks, by the way.
No problem. So we have about 15 minutes left. So I showed you guys the project issue board, and I was thinking of just one more thing, just so we all stay on the same page. I was thinking that possibly here, I think it's in the pipeline area. I was thinking of possibly creating a README file in each BMv2 and maybe create a folder for DPDK and outlining the gaps between the two different data sets, and just so we all know when we're all on the same page what's the differences between the two. So I might do that in the next few days, just FYI. And Vijay, Vincent, don't forget to give me your GitHub ID. And anyone else have anything?
Well, I want to ask Vijay, your pull request 365 the meters. What maybe
I think
just
I need to merge it.
Yeah,
He asked me to merge it.
okay.
Yeah, it's ready for merge. I think I think last time the test cases we said that I think Intel is working on adding some test cases, right?
Right.
Test cases, yeah, I think we have some of the metering test cases ready. Is that, yeah, you can add a note that we are adding. If you think the merge is, it is needed for the merge, we can do that separately.
That was on my list for this morning, PJ. There you go.
Thanks, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Oh, you just merged it just now.
I just did. Yeah, I was doing it on screen, live and on TV.
Oh, yeah, I was looking on my screen at the status. It suddenly changed.
Yeah. And so let's see. The last thing I wanted to do is it looks like we have someone attending named Swami. So I usually do an introduction for people. I don't know. Swami, did you want to say hi and say where you're from, or?
Yeah, my name is Swami, and I'm part of the AMD software engineering group. I'm part of the sister testing organization there.
Oh. Welcome. I hope this meeting is helpful to you in any kind of way. And feel free to ask questions, submit PRs. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay. And maybe jafingerhut.
Yeah, hello. It's not the first time I'm on this meeting, but
hi.
I'm from NVIDIA and I work with Sasha and other NVIDIA folks.
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't remember, Yakiv.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Yeah. No, thank you. So another big day. That's all I had for this week. And I think Vijay, and Prince, I also created issue 387. I'm not sure if you guys saw it in that project about adding scale into the documentation. I tagged everybody here. And I know that we have this one for Reshma. Routes and scales is for me. What was this one about? Oh, this one got answered. This was a bug fix. Marian, can I close this one? This one was where something came before.
On it.
Oh, still working? Okay, cool. I like the
There will
idea,
be a pull
Marian.
request for that one.
What's that?
There will be a pull request for that issue.
Okay, all right. I like your idea of tracking it this way, Marian. That was good. Still need a volunteer for this one, and I'll tag Vincent in these too. So that's all I have.
I just pasted a link into the chat that people who are starting to integrate, vendor libsci, they might want to take a look at it. It's a way of using the Dash project as a submodule in your own projects in your company, as a way of sort of pulling in all the test cases, et cetera, and maybe modifying the make files to suit your own workflow. But it might be interesting to some people. So anyone who's trying to use like the Dash generated files, etc., this might be a way to do it in a more, let's say, Git style, as opposed to copying files manually and trying to build into your own environment.
Yeah, it was very useful to me when I started that like 8 months ago.
Yeah, thank you. That was the hope. So people feel free to take a look at that if you're trying to use the Dash header files. It might give you some inspiration.
Thank you. I'm going to pop that into the notes then. And I'll do that. So great. Thanks, everyone. That's all I have unless there's another burning issue. I'm trying to wait the 7 seconds. It was great to see everyone at the SmartNIC Summit. Thank you for coming, and thank you for everyone who contributed to my sessions. I appreciate it. And I'll try and download those files in case anyone's curious about having them. So I'll stop the recording.